So I know the anger, I know the fear, I know the suffering when it comes to insomnia, and I know that you're looking for something which isn't the standard tips, tricks, hacks, sleep hygiene, warm baths, kiwi fruits when it comes to actually overcoming this condition for good, because you know deep down that none of this stuff actually works. All it does is it creates more obsession, more control, more fear, more anxiety around the condition, and just erodes your confidence when it can ever be overcome. So this video is going to deliver on its promise. It is going to give you, or it's going to tell you the root cause of why you've got insomnia, exactly what causes insomnia, what insomnia is. It's going to give you some behavioural changes that you can start from tonight to actually get over this for the long term. It's going to help deal with the anxiety, the fear, the worry, the obsession around your sleep, and it is going to be a long-term cure for your condition. Not a quick fix, not a hack, not a tip. This is, this is something that does work over the long run, and I know that because I had chronic insomnia for 20 years. Depression, divorce, anxiety. I lost my business, divorced because of it, living in a van, and it was this that got me out of it. The right scientifically proven behavioural changes over a long, consistent period of time. So after that, MOD, NHS, 2 books on insomnia. So when it comes to this condition, I really do understand it. And for people that have been on this channel a lot, it's going to be something a little bit different. I'm going to be taking you for a little walk on a lovely farm in the Philippines. Going to be showing you the sights and the sounds. Absolutely beautiful here. We've got a beautiful day, so hopefully it's going to make it a little bit more interesting for you as well. So yeah, I really hope you enjoy this video. Watch it to the end, especially if you're new. You're going to learn so much that's going to be the complete opposite for everything that you have ever heard before. But yeah, let's start right away. And what a beautiful sight we have to take us on to this farm. So yeah, when it comes to sleep and insomnia, people think they know what it is often. They think, well, I've got insomnia because I've got anxiety, depression, PTSD, I'm going through the menopause. None of this is insomnia. These are short-term sleep problems. Insomnia is fear. Insomnia is obsession. Insomnia is control. Insomnia is having 1,001 things that you have to do in order to try and force and make and manufacture sleep. Insomnia is having 1,000 things that you can't do because you're so worried about your sleep. I can't now eat late in a restaurant because if I do that, I'm not going to sleep tonight. I can't watch TV before bed because if I do that, I'm not going to sleep tonight. I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this. Before you know it, you've got 1,001 things you're doing in order to try and force yourself to sleep. You've got 1,001 things you can't do in order to try and protect it. And it's something that rules and controls your entire life. And really where it stems from, it normally always starts, sometimes, you can remember the trigger of your insomnia. You can say, oh, my insomnia happened 5 years ago after this really stressful time at work, or I think my insomnia happened 7 years ago when I was diagnosed with that health concern, and that is why I now have insomnia today. My insomnia happened after this traumatic event because of PTSD. None of this actually caused your insomnia to continue into the future. All of this may have caused it. Oh my goodness, look at those butterflies. Orange, okay, beautiful. All of this stuff may certainly have caused a short-term sleep problem. But it's the behaviors you do afterwards that turn this short-term sleep problem into long-term chronic insomnia. So often people think, well, I had a poor night of sleep, or I had 2 poor nights of sleep. That's fine. 3rd poor night of sleep, that's when the anxiety starts kicking in and you start changing your behaviors when it comes to sleep. You start spending longer in bed. You start trying to catch up on sleep in the short term. You start going to bed when you're not sleepy. And suddenly the brain learns and takes on a really unhelpful pattern of sleep. So a kind of a good analogy, I've used this a lot in some of my other videos. So imagine you've got yourself, let me check the camera still on. Imagine you've got yourself someone who's a solo round the world boat tripper. and they have to wake up every single 20 minutes throughout the night time. So this is what they do. They set an alarm every single 20 minutes during the night time. Check that everything's okay, check that the boat is on course, and then they go back to sleep again. Literally within 20 minutes of doing, within 1 week of doing this, the brain's going to take that on as a new pattern of sleep. So I actually had a client who was a solo around the world boat tripper. The brain took this pattern of sleep on. During the boat, that was absolutely amazing that the brain had learned that and was doing that. But afterwards, when he returned back to the US, he still had this pattern of sleep that was happening. So he was still waking up every single 20 minutes throughout the night time. And so kind of you can think of insomnia as a poor pattern of sleep that initially the brain has taken on. So that might be taking ages to fall asleep. That might be waking up multiple times throughout the night time. Whoa, I nearly fell over. That might be not being able to sleep through to the morning. There might be all of those things, but really if you can just think of it as a poor pattern of sleep that the brain has learned, the brain has taken on, that's a really helpful thing to kind of think about your insomnia, because if you can build a poor pattern of sleep, you can also break a poor pattern of sleep as well. But before I start any of this, we got some beautiful little fish in these lakes here. I have no idea what that tree is. Lily, what's that? What's that one?
Oh my god, I don't know.
That is, anyone know in the comments what that is? We have no idea. That is a tree that looks kind of nice and cool. But anyway, nice, cool looking tree. Yeah, so think of it as a poor pattern of sleep that the brain has taken on, the brain has learned, and the brain has run with. And it's usually through your inadvertent behavioural changes that you've done this, which is an incredibly intuitive thing to do. You know, when you start sleeping poorly, so you want to do everything to try and fix the problem. So you make more effort, you do more, you try more, you spend longer in bed, you start lying in, you start trying to nap during the daytime, because you're trying to help the situation. But what this does is it just creates a really poor pattern of sleep that the brain learns and takes on. So if you can imagine, say, someone who travels for work a lot, they're always flying from one place to the other. Their body clock, their sleep drive, which I'm going to get onto in a little bit, it just does not know where it stands. Oh my goodness, look at that red butterfly. Ooh. Look at that, beautiful. So their sleep drive, their body clock doesn't know where it stands. So they're constantly going to have this really poor pattern of sleep because there's no regularity, there's no consistency. Imagine now you've got someone who always tends to wake up at a similar time during the morning. They always tend to go to bed when they're sleepy. Not always, but they generally tend to spend a normal, consistent amount of time in bed. This person is probably going to sleep very well. The person who's traveling for work, always waking up in different time zones, never knowing what time they're waking up, always going to bed at different times, this person is going to sleep very poorly. And really, this is kind of like the core of where insomnia stems from. People changing their behaviors around sleep after they've suffered from a short-term sleep problem. Very, very natural, very, very intuitive. My own insomnia happened when I was 14. After 3 days of not sleeping very well, I completely freaked out, and the good sleep patterns that I used to have, these just completely went out the window. My body clock then became very inconsistent, my sleep drive then became very inconsistent, my sleep got very bad, and then all the obsessive ritualistic behaviors stemmed and started from there. My goodness, this is beautiful. This is one thing I love about the Philippines. At the moment, I'm in this really beautiful mountainous region. So you've kind of got probably a Spanish climate. So you get these beautiful flowers. You've got a lot more rainfall here. So the actual flowers is absolutely stunning. We've got bamboo over there, coconut trees over top, cacao plants somewhere, which, yeah, so I'm going to show you some chocolate plants in a minute. Absolutely stunning. But yeah, this is probably the most beautiful place I've ever been to on earth. But yeah, where was I? Sorry.
you were talking about when you had your insomnia at 14, you had that sleeping pattern.
Oh yeah. So I took on a bad sleeping pattern. So this is all to do with the body clock and the sleep drive. So these are the two important things to understand when it comes to the actual things that control your sleep. So sleep drive. People on my channel that have been on my channel, you're going to have to humour me because you've heard about this so many times. People that are new to the channel, you probably never heard of a sleep drive, which is absolutely, my goodness, look at that beautiful butterfly. Oh my, wow. People that have never had insomnia, well, who've new to this, probably have never heard of a sleep drive. So simply put, the sleep drive is the only thing that makes people sleep. Sleep cannot be forced. Sleep cannot be manufactured. Sleep cannot be controlled. Simply put, the longer you are awake for, the stronger your drive to sleep will be. So this is where a lot of the tips, tricks and hacks around sleep get it so wrong, because they think, well, if you meditate really hard, you're going to sleep. If you have a hot bath or take these kiwi fruits, you're going to sleep. Without the kind of understanding that if that internal drive to sleep isn't there, you're not going to sleep, and the brain takes on a really poor pattern of sleep with insomnia. It's not like you never sleep. The brain takes on a pattern of sleep where the sleep drive is really weak. So this is the cacao plant that I was talking about earlier. I feel like I'm in the Eden Project. I'm not going to pick it. So this is the oh, just double check that it's still recording. I don't know what I did. Continuous focus mode. Hopefully it's still. Let me zoom out on that. So the sleep drive, essentially, the longer you're awake for, the stronger that drive to sleep will be. So someone who, if you wake up at say 7 o'clock in the morning and you need to be awake for 17 hours to produce 7 hours of sleep, you're going to feel sleepy around about midnight the following day. If, however, you were to wake up at, let's say, 10 o'clock in the morning because you had a poor night of sleep and you wanted to try and catch up on sleep, you still need your 17 hours of being awake in order to produce your 7 hours of sleep. But it means you're not going to feel sleepy the next night until around about 7 in the morning. And so when you kind of understand how the sleep drive works, when you understand that it's the only thing that creates sleep, it kind of tells you why all the other nonsense around sleep actually is incredibly unhelpful. Because when you don't understand the sleep drive, it creates the false belief that sleep is something that you can kind of force, create, manufacture, control. And it's this false belief that sends people down some really unhelpful rabbit holes when it comes to their sleep. Sleep drive, incredibly important to sleep. So if you've got a strong, regulated sleep drive by waking up more or less at the same time every single day, you've probably heard this before. This is one thing where sleep hygiene gets right. In isolation, it's not going to help. But just that one piece of advice done consistently with patience, this is over time going to help you sleep. Again, I said no quick fixes here. Consistency, regularity, along with all the other things that I'm going to be sharing with you in this video, that's an incredibly helpful thing to do. But also getting rid of the idea that you should be having yourself a fixed bedtime, because if you go to bed when you're not sleepy, say you believe that you need 10 hours in bed in order to sleep, go to bed when you're not sleepy, you're just gonna lie there in a dark room where there's no stimulation. You're gonna get anxious, you're gonna get stressed, the body's gonna be put into fight or flight, and is going to make sleep even harder to come. So, a real basic piece of advice, you may have heard these before, but I can guarantee with patience, with consistency, with regularity, for a lot of people this is going to help. I'm going to get into the real kind of details around the obsession, the fear, the anxiety around sleep, which you also need to tackle. But going to bed when you're sleepy, waking up at the same time, and giving yourself enough sleep opportunity, but not too much. That is the initial behavioural changes that you want to do in order to overcome insomnia. But if you've got a real kind of severe insomnia, where you think, well, I'm spending this can't be right, because I feel like I'm only sleeping for 2 hours a night. I feel like I'm only sleeping for 3 hours a night. I've got to spend longer and longer in bed in order to get sleep to happen. Actually, it's not going to help you sleep. It's just going to have more time in bed, creating more anxiety, more fear, more frustration in bed, and it's going to train and condition the brain. But the bed isn't a place for sleep. It's a place that you ruminate, get stressed, get angry, and it's going to perpetuate and make the problem far, far worse. So kind of my piece of advice right off the bat, that fixed wake time, going to bed when you're sleepy, counterintuitive, but actually spending less time in bed. This is really, really helpful for your sleep, because you're giving yourself less sleep opportunity, but actually by giving yourself less sleep opportunity, the quality of your sleep massively improves. And there's a good reason for this. And another analogy I like to use, you've probably seen it on my other videos when it comes to the pastry dish. Imagine you've got a 10-inch pastry dish, but you've only got 7 inches worth of pastry. So this is someone spending 10 hours in bed, but only needing 7 hours of sleep. If you were to roll this 7-inch of pastry onto this 10-inch dish, it's not going to reach the end. So this would be someone who's waking up early in the morning. It's not going to start from the start. So we got a load of geese, ducks, turkeys here, which are going to cause a little bit of noise at the moment. So hopefully they're going to stay a little bit quiet as I meander through their pasture. So you've got a 7-inch pastry dish, 10 inches worth of pastry. Roll this pastry onto this 10-inch dish. It won't reach the end. Someone waking up early in the morning. It won't start from the start. Someone taking ages and ages to fall asleep. It's going to have loads of holes and gaps in the middle. Someone waking up multiple times throughout the night. A massive gap, a 3-hour gap in the middle. Somebody waking up for 3 hours in the middle of the night and not being able to fall back to sleep. Really thin pastry. So maybe this 7 inches worth of pastry fits onto this 10-inch dish, but it's really thin. It's really fragmented. It's really poor quality. This is, my goodness, look at that. I just love the butterflies here. There's this orange and white butterfly. Absolutely beautiful. So it's not going to reach the end. So that really thin, poor quality, fragmented pastry. If you were, however, to shrink that 10-inch dish down to 7 inches, that pastry is going to fit onto that dish absolutely perfectly. So this is where a lot of problems with insomnia comes from. People spending far, far too long in bed. Incredibly intuitive thing to do, as I said, because everything else in life, the longer you spend at it, the harder you try at it, the greater likelihood there is of achieving the desired outcome happening. The exact opposite is what it is with sleep. If you spend too long in bed, you're not spending that time in bed in a calm, happy, relaxed place. You're spending there getting anxious, getting stressed, getting worried. I use the analogy of a wolf in a lot of my other videos. You've got your wolf in your bedroom that's just creating that huge amount of anxiety, raising your heartbeat, body temperature, adrenaline. This is hyperarousal, this is fight or flight, and this can be avoided by simply spending less time in bed. Not going to fix insomnia by itself. There's other things we need to tackle as well, but just these simple piece of advice here: waking up at more or less at the same time every single day, going to bed when you're sleepy, spending less time in bed. If you've got a real chronic problem, restricting through a program amount of time you spend in bed just to build your body clock, just to build your sleep drive, is going to be incredibly helpful for you. Look at these dragonflies here. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, absolutely stunning here. So where were we? Oh, spending less time in bed. Literally, if you were to do that, people with insomnia, they say, well, this isn't going to help me. This isn't going to help me because I've got this real chronic problem. if you spend less time in bed, if you teach your body clock and your sleep drive to wake up at the same time every single day, I can guarantee with this consistency, with this quality, you will get the quality of your sleep back. For me, I kind of thought that's not going to work. You know, during my own insomnia, when I started my own CBTi course, when I did these behavioural changes, I thought that's not going to work for me because it's just too simple. Literally, I restricted my time in bed from, well, I think I spent about 14 hours in bed when my insomnia was at its peak. During my own program, I restricted it down to just 6 hours in bed, waking up at the same time every single day. Literally within a week of doing that, I went from someone trying everything they could to force and manufacture sleep, getting anxious and stressed and worried before bed, to someone who literally couldn't keep their eyes open. So it is really, really effective to do these behavioural changes. Oh my goodness, hello! Hello! Hello, sweeties! You're right! Hello! Oh my! Oh, cute! Come here, come here, come here! Oh, so sweet! Oh, we got some food for you. Oh my! What? Oh! Fortune favours the brave. We've got some nice little sardines for everyone. Oh my goodness, that's cute. Sorry guys, I got a bit distracted with the puppies. Yeah, so helpful if you can change your behaviours when it comes to your sleep like that. I really do understand. I understand you want to spend longer in bed. Oh my goodness, hello piggies. I understand that because you're desperate to sleep, you want to spend longer in bed. But this is something I say on my channel a lot. Insomnia isn't changed, overcome at night time. It's overcome the second you wake up. It's overcome with the right behavioural changes. It's overcome with consistency. It's overcome with patience. It's overcome by doing the same behavioural changes with consistency. And so really, I did promise no quick tips, tricks or hacks. This is how insomnia is eventually going to be overcome with the right behavioural changes. And they're not actually that hard behaviours to make. They're just very hard in the short term because they go completely against everything else you've been doing around your sleep. You really want to spend longer in bed because you want to get as much sleep as you possibly can in the short term because you slept so poorly that given night. Overcoming insomnia is about these long-term consistent behavioural changes. And just to kind of recap them, waking up at the same time, spending less time in bed, going to bed when you're sleepy, incredibly helpful, because what this does, not only it helps rebuild your pattern of sleep, strengthen your sleep drive, fixes your body clock, teaches a new pattern of sleep, shrinking that pastry dish down. It also causes you to spend less time in bed awake. And when you're spending less time in bed awake, you're not conditioning, training your brain that the bed is a place of anxiety, stress, worry and wakefulness. You might know that I'm suffering a little bit. It is hot out today. Look at my sweaty face. Oh goodness me. I love the Philippines, but it's probably already 30 centigrade. I know I'm struggling, but I'm going to keep going. Keep filming lovely scenes for you. So spending less time in bed, incredibly helpful. And so that's the first kind of things that I'm going to outline to you. Simple behavioural change. I'm not saying easy. Easy is not the same as simple, but spending that less time in bed, setting yourself a sleep window. I'm going to show you in the comments section how to set your own sleep window. That is the first initial step that I want you to do in order to fix your insomnia. Do it with patience. It's not going to work in the first night. It's not going to work on the second night. I can guarantee if you set your own sleep window for a month by having a look at the comments section and follow through with that as best you can, the end of the month, you're going to look back on it and you will have slept better than the previous month, just with that behavioural change. Incredibly helpful. Another thing that you can do in the middle of the night, if you're in bed, you're calm, you're happy, you're relaxed, you really don't need to do anything. But if you're in bed and you start feeling the anxiety, the stress, the worry, the fear starting to creep up, Rather than lying there, fighting sleep, forcing sleep, pleading with sleep, I just want you to get out of bed, leave the bed in the bedroom, do something that is a better alternative than doing that, and return to bed when you're sleepy again. Some people, this causes a lot of anxiety. This is called stimulus control. You might not want to do that. Instead, another thing to do is, if you're in bed, you're calm, you're happy, you're relaxed, don't do anything. If, however, you start feeling your anxiety, stress, worry creeping up, simply leave the bed in the bedroom. How you doing? All right. Simply sit up in bed, put a podcast on, watch some Netflix. Blue light really won't kill you. The whole idea that there's these kind of things that destroy your sleep, just create more obsession and worry around it. Just simply sit up in bed, put a podcast on, watch some TV, and then turn the light off when you feel sleepy again is going to be incredibly helpful to you. So what you're doing there is you're teaching the brain that you're not going to allow it to lie in bed ruminating, getting stressed, getting worried, getting angry. You're not going to allow it to do that. So you're basically training and conditioning the brain, but the bed is either a place of sleep or it's a place that you feel calm, happy and relaxed in. So you've got two options. Leaving the bed in the bedroom if there's a lot of fear, anxiety and worry attached to the bed. If that doesn't sound good to you, if you feel anxious, stressed and worried when you're in bed, turning the light on, putting some Netflix on, watching some TV, putting a podcast on, reading a book, anything to bring you out of that anxious, stressed and worried state. Guys, if you lie there getting more cross, getting more stressed, getting more angry, the wolf's going to get bigger, the anxiety, the stress, the worry is going to build, and it's going to make things just 10 times worse. So these simple behavioural changes, let's outline them. Going to bed when you feel sleepy, getting up at the same time, spending less time in bed. If you feel anxious, should we go this way? If you feel anxious, stressed and worried in bed, simply sitting up in bed, watching some TV. These are the behavioural changes you want to be putting in place right away. Again, incredibly simple, but what they're doing is they're rebuilding your pattern of sleep. They're teaching the brain that the bed isn't a place of anxiety, stress and worry. This is conditioning the brain. This is deconditioning the brain, but the bed is now a place of relaxation, and it's rebuilding your pattern of sleep. So I always like to lead with behavioural changes in the first instance before I start tackling the thought patterns, the anxiety, the stress, the worry that people have around sleep, because I find that it's easier to change people's behaviours than it is to change their thought patterns. Not that it's easy to change behaviours, it's incredibly hard to change ingrained habits, but it's easier to change behaviours than it is to change thought patterns. So these behaviour changes right away, incredibly helpful to your sleep. So that's what the behaviour changes you can start doing right away. There's a little skinny dog up this way. Should we try and, I think that one's chained up. Should we go find the little skinny one? Feed him? Should we go that way? I kind of want to stay in the shade because I am roasting right now. Right. So we put these behavioural changes in place. Sleep window is in the comments section. I'm going to queue up a video for counter control and stimulus control. Literally, I just want you to do these two things in order to help your sleep. Do them for a month. I can guarantee just these two behavioural changes are going to massively improve your sleep. Like I said, with my own insomnia, 20 years, chronic insomnia, just these behavioural changes did absolute wonders for my sleep. So I kind of think what CBTi is, I think people think it's these loads of rules and lists and regulations that you have to do in order to sleep. The opposite is actually true. It simplifies everything. It makes everything far simpler. It basically teaches the brain that, good sleepers, they're not doing these 1001 ritualistic behaviors in order to sleep. And when you simplify things like this, the obsession, the control, the fear, the worry around sleep comes down. So just these simple behavioral changes. Start with these, lead with these, and then once you've got them in place, what I want you to start doing is what I like to call exposure therapy. It's When people have insomnia, they become so fearful about living their life. They kind of hunker down. So all the things they used to enjoy, they used to like going out in the pub in the evening. Suddenly now they can no longer do that. They used to like, before they had insomnia, going out to restaurants. Suddenly they can no longer do that. They used to watch TV before bed. They can't do that anymore. They used to drink caffeine they used to drink coffee in a cafe. Now, because they've heard that they can't drink caffeine after 3 p.m, suddenly they can't do that. The life that they used to have has got narrower and narrower and narrower, and their entire life and their entire existence has just become about fixing this problem. And so what I think my method to helping insomnia does, it gives people real simple behavioural changes, and then it gets people to do the exact opposite thing that they are doing, or that they have now learned to do because they have their insomnia. My favourite question when it comes to sleep: would I have done this when I was a good sleeper? Would I have obsessed about this when I was a good sleeper? Would I have allowed this to control and dictate my life? This is always the objective and the direction you want to move in when it comes to overcoming your insomnia. So initially, put these simple behavioural changes in place that I've outlined in this video. Hello, sweet. Are you alright? Put these simple behavioural changes in place that I've outlined in this video. Just have a quick drink of water. Oh, sorry guys, it is hot. And then I want you to slowly start doing more in the daytime. Not to fix the condition, just so it's not right up in front of your face all day long. I think people get insomnia so wrong. If I do more, if I try more, if I fix more, this is going to resolve the problem. Simplify everything. Behavioural changes. These behavioural changes I outline in the comment section. And then I want you to start doing things that you used to do before you had this condition. If it's been too long since that's been, you can't remember how that is, just start asking that question: is this something that I would worry about and do if I were a good sleeper? And that is where it's overcome as well. So if it's been years since I've stayed in a hotel, eventually you want to be moving in the direction of actually doing that. Not to sleep on that given night, just to prove to the brain that you're not going to allow insomnia to control you. You're not going to allow it to push you around. You're not going to allow it to dictate you. I want people to be fearless when it comes to their sleep. I want them to be fearless when it comes to overcoming their insomnia. And it's a very common thing when you've got this condition. Your entire life becomes about fixing it. Everything that you do is around this condition. Every thought you have is around about fixing it. And this is where so much of the information out there online gets it so wrong. Andrew Huberman, Matthew Walker: do more, try more, fix more, take these sleep supplements, don't watch blue light, don't drink caffeine after a don't do this, don't do that. And it just puts insomnia here, but it just controls every single waking moment. So once you put these simple behavioural changes in place, I then it's up to you, completely up to you if you decide to do this, but it'd be incredibly helpful to you to actually start thinking about what you would be doing if you were a good sleeper, and moving in that direction during the daytime of trying to do that. Is it going to be easy? No. But it's just that kind of step in the direction of stopping this controlling your every single waking thought. So say it's been years since you've eaten late in a restaurant. What I recommend to people, this is exposure therapy, is that they were to actually eat late in a restaurant. Not to sleep well on that given night, just to stop insomnia pushing them around, just to have sort of an hour where you're not obsessing and thinking about your sleep. I can no longer go to the gym because if I do that, I won't sleep because I've been told that I shouldn't exercise too late. I would be encouraging people to start going to a gym at 6 p.m. in the evening, just to stop insomnia controlling them, dictating what they can and can't do. I have to stop drinking caffeine at 3 p.m. Well, what did you used to do before you had insomnia? Oh, well, I occasionally would have a coffee with my friends at 4 p.m. Fantastic. Do that. This is, people often think, well, this is reckless, this is very bad for my sleep because I've got this huge problem, so I need to do more, I need to control more, I need to fix more. But it's this obsession, it's this control, it's this fear, it's this worry that's keeping it in place. Oh my goodness, what have you? So everyone, coconut trees at the top there, offering welcome shade. And now I think we are moving towards some cacao trees that they are cultivating here. Oh, gorgeous. Sorry, I'm not an expert on the Philippine flora and fauna, but it's really lovely to see this. So we've got cacao trees, which are the ones with the ready leaves there. We got some young banana tree there, and that I think is banana as well. If anyone in the comments knows more than me, please let me know. Good job I work on sleep rather than botany, because this would be a very uninformative video. But that's essentially kind of, I think, the real basics to overcoming insomnia. The right behavioural patterns with consistency, with regularity. Again, I've put these in the comment section of the video. And it's about doing far, far less of the behaviours during the daytime that someone with insomnia would do. And far, far more of the behaviours during the daytime that you would do not to fix the problem, just to stop it controlling you, just to bring down the obsession, just to bring down the fear, the anxiety, the worry. Kind of a good analogy I like to use. Imagine you've got a monster that you wake up with at the end of your bed. This is after sleeping poorly. And then during the daytime, you feed it. You feed it with Andrew Huberman. You feed it with Google articles about your sleep. You feed it with Matthew Walker terrifying you. But if you don't get 8 hours of sleep, all these dreadful, terrible things are going to happen to you. You feed it, you feed it, you feed it. You feed it by not meeting up with your friends. You feed it by cancelling your obligations. You teach it that if you sleep poorly, you're going to do far, far less during the daytime. So actually, you don't need to sleep well. You feed it, you feed it, you feed it during the daytime. You spend the whole day obsessing, thinking about sleep. That monster just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. At night time, you then lie down, you then half an hour before bed, try and do this magical relaxation technique. You try and do this magical relaxation techniques. You have your hot bath, you have your sleep stack supplement, you have your rituals that you do. And then all that happens is you feed the monster even more. So you've got a massive monster, and now you expect it to go away just through a half an hour meditation. But of course, you know it doesn't work. It doesn't work because all this does is it another kind of thing that you're using in order to try and force and control your sleep. It makes you more anxious around sleep because no matter what you do that half an hour or hour before bedtime, the less you sleep, the more anxious you get sleep, the more worried you get about sleep. Another amazing video I've got when I kind of use the analogy of trying to use relaxation techniques to turn your hair blue. I'll stick that in the comment section as well. But it just creates more obsession, more worry. So you fed the monster all day. You try and get rid of it half an hour before bed with the right magical relaxation technique. And now it's even bigger. And then you go to bed when you're not sleepy. You lie down in a dark room where there's no stimulation. And you expect the monster you've been feeding all daytime to suddenly leave you. This isn't how insomnia is overcome. this is where so much of us saying things around sleep is so kind of dangerous to sleep, because it just creates more force, more effort, more control, and just perpetuates, compounds the problem. So really, I think kind of overcoming insomnia is about simplifying the whole thing. Doing some simple behavioural changes to rebuild your pattern of sleep. Doing some simple behavioural changes in order to spend less time in bed awake in this really anxious, stressed and worried state. Again, all of this in the comments section. And simply doing things during the daytime, not to fix the problem, just so that you're living your life and you haven't got your insomnia right up in front of your face all day, every day. Just so that it's not the only thing that you're trying to fix. Sleep, I say this all the time. I did this in an interview with Wayne Goss. This is the first time I said it. Insomnia isn't overcome half an hour before you go to bed. It's overcome the second you wake up. Bright light first thing. Exercise during the daytime, not to create sleep. Yes, it does improve sleep quality, but don't do it with that intention. It's the intention that's important, not the action. Do it to enjoy your life. So exercise during the daytime, bright light first thing, and start moving in the direction of living your life again. Doing the behaviors that you used to do before insomnia. I can guarantee just with these behavioral changes, with consistency, with patience, with regularity, not with tips, not with tricks, not with hacks, you are going to see a dramatic improvement in your sleep. So I think, guys, we've kind of come to the end of this. I think possibly people will think, well, where's the kind of the tip that I was hoping for, this kind of magic thing that I was hoping for? It's not about that. It's about behavioral changes. The same way, if you want to build muscle in the gym, it's not about going once and learning 100 different movements or different exercises. It's about consistency. It's about regularity. Same with losing weight. I think everyone knows how to lose weight, but you can't lose weight with the shakes and the supplements. That's not consistency. It's not sustainable. You lose weight through patience, with regularity, with consistency. And none of the stuff that I'm outlining is easy. I really don't want to kind of make that impression that this is an easy thing to do. It's incredibly hard to reduce the amount of time you spend in bed when you're so used to doing the opposite. It's incredibly hard after a poor night of sleep of only 3 or 4 hours to get up, you know, at the same time and carry on about your life with the understanding that it would just mean your sleep drive is stronger the next night. So it's incredibly hard to shift that awareness that you need to be doing the opposite behaviors. It's really hard because habits and behaviors are ingrained, so it's really hard to do the opposite. But this is how insomnia is overcome. So I really hope this video has been helpful to everyone. I've queued up a load of them in the comment section. If you want a step-by-step guide which goes through all of this, it's got written exercises on it. It's got a step-by-step what to do day 1, what to do day 2. If you essentially want to be taken by the hand and led through this, you'll find that on my website, also sleepz.com. Also check out my books for step-by-step guides, and if you want to work with me one-to-one, you can do that as well. Sorry this was a little bit kind of garbled and rushed. This is the first time I've kind of done this new technique of walking and talking, and I didn't expect it to be 40 degrees, so I've struggled a little bit, but I hope it's been helpful to you. Check all my other videos out. I really hope this one has been of value to you, and I'll see you on the next one. Alright, bye guys.